name's Matthew Paul Mallardi. Where am I? I currently live in Brisbane, Australia, which is in the state of Queensland. And the next show is in America for New Year's Eve, which we're all so excited to be part of, and we're really keen to get over there and play and share music.
Yeah, have you been to America before?
Never been to America, no.
Wow. Have you been to Texas before?
No.
Some people would consider them just places. So I think you're in for quite an experience.
Yeah.
You've been on a drifter tour there in Australia. What's that been like? And tell me about the drifter tour and what that was like and what it was like selling out venues. And
the drifter tour was such a really cool experience to be part of a full run, like a full tour, because I've never done that before. So that was like just an incredible experience in itself, just traveling to different towns. But to do it with Wade and the awesome like Ben and the two Bens and myself, it was just such an incredible experience to see everyone singing lyric for lyric of Wade's awesome music, and that was just like so touching. And I also, the song Team Ropers is actually like, he uses the city of Townsville in Queensland, Australia, and I'm born in Townsville. I come from North Queensland off a property. So every time I play this, I hear, gotta find a lift to Townsville. It's like the place that I grew up. It just feels like that song belongs to me because because I'm from that place. So it like, when I see people in different cities singing that, it's just like, wow, this is such a huge moment. So it was really special.
What's it feel like when you're playing a song and the audience is singing along with you?
It's incredible. We did before the Drifter tour early in the year, we did our a show in Townsville, and I play with, there's a thing that we put in our ears. It's called in-ear monitors. If people don't know what that is, it's just like earplugs that go in your ears, and you just hear the band and stuff like that, or whatever you need to hear. And the crowd was that loud that I couldn't hear the band. I actually had to get the ears turned up and push them in a bit more. And that was just like, this is wild. This is such a really surreal feeling. And it was really special as well. This is going to be really special. And thank you so much for organizing all this. And the Buckin Burger, it looks like an amazing, New Year's Eve is going to be really special.
To be fair, I organized the original Popup and the original podcast, right? And I booked a couple of these shows. I booked the New Year's Eve show. But Ryan Klein from Goldtown Music, he's done the bulk of the work behind this tour. And I'm just happy to have a small part of it and get to see this first show. Like, I wouldn't trade that for anything, seeing the first show.
It's going to be really special to play in America, and also like in Texas. It's going to be such a special feeling, and also just to see how the lyrics impact as well. Like, the crowd. It's so, because Wade really writes from the heart. He writes about like real experiences, and I think that really, the crowd really react with that, and they share they have their own experiences with it as well. And I think it's really special and unique.
Yeah, it's interesting in the music, like the Fighting Tears song is a very specific story, like to Wade's life, right? But it's so universally relatable that, it touches so many people that, have no relationship to the story behind that song. And I think a lot of the other songs like Cigarettes, right? Everybody can identify with that, right? Some like two tough things to quit, like an ex and nicotine, right? It's just terrible, right? It's fun to watch people connect to that. And one of the things that I loved about that pop-up, and I kind of posted about, was looking around and having that moment and realizing that you're not the only one, right? It's like this whole community of people that are hurting in some way that song has touched, and that identify kind of with the cowboy lifestyle in some way, whether they're actually a cowboy or they come from a ranching family. I come from a ranching family and grew up riding horses and training horses, but I'm not actually, I haven't cowboyed in a long time. But that kind of community and mindset, and in that crowd, it was interesting because somebody asked me like, oh my God, we may need security for this guy, right? Like, we had that moment of like, crap, we're going to have all these people like rushing him, trying to, shake his hand, touch him in some way, whatever. And we've seen that happen at shows before, right? But in a much different context. And I look around, I'm like, no, this is a cowboy crowd. He couldn't be safer anywhere else in the world right now than he is right here in the Stockyards in Fort Worth, Texas. So I think you're going to have a lot of those special moments. Have you heard of any of the music venues you're playing before, or
Like Gruene Hall and also Cain's Ballroom, just seeing the previous bands that have played there, like the Sex Pistols, I researched a heap and I was just like blown away with the past artists that have been in that room. And I think that's really special as well. And I'm super stoked just to go there and feel the energy in the room as well.
yeah, it's just going to be a wild experience for you. And I'm so happy that Wade is bringing his own band along, right? Because I think a lot of artists, if they were coming over from overseas with all the issues and cost of bringing a band over here, they would just say to us, where we have just musicians, especially that time of year, that we could put together a band for him, right? I think it's really cool that he's bringing you guys over here to the experience, but also to give people in the United States the authentic product. Like, hey, I'm Wade Forster, and this is my actual band. Not some people that I hired over here in the United States to play with me. So, what was it like when you found out that you guys were coming?
It was just, it didn't feel real. Like, it was just like, this is so incredible. Like, we had a chat about it earlier in the year. Like, when we first started playing, it's like, there might be an opportunity that we might go to the States, next year or something. And then when Wade called me, I remember I was at a gig and I was at soundcheck and I got a call and he's just like, where are you on this date and this date? And I'm like, I'll be here. And then he goes, also this date as well. And he goes, the whole time. And then I said, oh, what's this for? And he goes, it's America. And I'm just like, what? And like, I kind of like, I'm a bit soft, so I like started crying because it was such an emotional thing. Like to play in Australia is such a great thing, but to play overseas and share the same music like you share in Australia and to play it overseas, like especially in America and like especially in Texas, is just such a huge opportunity. And it was just like, wow, yeah.
Well, in terms of that, and the same type of music, I think music, kind of like in my background, mathematics, are things that unite people. That you're from Australia, you're coming over here to play with two American bands, right? But I think you'll find you'll have a lot more in common than you have different, and music is just something that you can talk about.
Absolutely.
In terms of Lowdown Drifters, had you heard of them before you knew you were coming here?
We were in rehearsal and Wade was just like, you should check out this band, the Lowdown Drifters. And so I went home after rehearsal and I just started listening to their catalog, and I really loved All Right. That song really, like, that was super cool. And then when we found out that we were going to tour with them, it was just like, wow, this is cool. Like the fact that we get to watch this band play every night, these songs that I've been listening to for the last 6 months, it's going to be really fun.
That song, I think, in terms of impact on my life and other people I know that know both songs, All Right and Fighting Tears are kind of, it's a similar, I don't know what to call it, but it's a similar space that those songs can really get you into. And I don't know if you've heard the phrase, sad songs make me happy, but I think cool. It's kind of strange to most people that listening to sad music like that actually can, in a lot of ways, make you feel better, because just like there in the Stockyards, it brings people together, and you just know you're not alone, that somebody else out there feels like that. It may not be okay, but it's gonna be all right.
Absolutely. Music's so powerful for that. It's like we're all in it together, and it's all just it's just amazing how you can relate to the lyrics and you can find your own meaning to a song. It might not be the specific lyrics, like you said before, that happened in the song, but someone finds their own meaning in life. That's an event that's happened. It could be positive or a sad experience, but they draw onto that and they use that song, and it just, it creates something that they can hold on to, and it creates they just like it, and it brings them to that song.
So in terms of Logan Ryan and people that are just as excited as me about you guys coming over here, Logan was, doing some work or something over in the Dallas area and had to be back early the next morning, but he drove over here to Fort Worth to be at the Wade Popup at Chief Records. And so he was there at the Stockyards before the thing watched the whole thing. And then afterwards stuck around, and I did like an on the street or in the Stockyards interview of Wade. And because of all the stuff and how wild that was, I didn't have my tripod. I didn't really have my right camera gear ready. But Wade was there and he was ready to talk. So I'm like, we got to do this. So Logan Ryan actually just held my cell phone to record Wade doing the interview that we did in the Stockyards after the pop-up, which is kind of wild. So Logan and Wade got to talk there. And I think it's really cool that the first show in America is not only Lowdown, and Lowdown's guitarist Dylan did the sound for the pop-up, right? And that was the first time Wade and Lowdown met. But also Logan Ryan, made a huge effort to get there to see this pop up. And that's where they met. And I think it's just really cool and special that the first show that Wade Forster is going to play on a tour in America is with Lowdown Drifters and Logan Ryan Band, because that they were there the first time he was here, not playing, but now they get to all play together. And I think that's going to be really, really cool.
Yeah, it's going to be super exciting. It's going to be great to watch them as well, afterwards and before. It's going to be a great night. Super keen.
So, what's your favorite song? I have an assumption, but what's your favorite song of Wade's?
I kind of it depends on the mood. But I'd probably have to say Fighting Tears is a really, I love that song. But my other favorite one would be the Richmond County line. I just love the feel of it, the lyrics, the flow of it. Yeah, it's a cool track. When I first heard it, I was just like, and also Guess I'm Wrong Again. That's a really nice one as well.
Well, the thing when I listened to that album, the beginning, it hit me that you could go through this and you could have several favorites at different times.
Absolutely.
Right? When I heard Lowdown's first album, that album is the same way, and it much like this guy Tyler Childers. If you listen to Purgatory, right? I remember for like a year, I had every few weeks I had a different favorite Tyler Childers song when I first heard him, and I know Tyler Childers is a big influence on Wade. When you think about coming to America or Texas, any of these venues, is there anybody over here you hope to meet or hope shows up at a show?
I've been listening to one band that I've really been super obsessed with in the last 3 months, and it's been Shane Smith and the Saints. That band has just that band is just like Fire in the Sky, that song. Oh, it's so beautiful. And that performance they did at Red Rocks, and I think the Lowdown Drifters played with them at the Ryman as well.
They did, yes.
And that was just that band is really when I first discovered them, Wade introduced me to that band as well, and I was just this band's amazing. And I haven't stopped listening to that band for the last couple of months. It's been so I don't know if I'll ever it'd be cool to even catch a show of theirs, because it was just great band.
Yeah, well, during that time, I don't know Shane Smith's schedule off the top of my head, but they should have some nights off during that time, and it's all kind of concentrated geographically, even though it's in multiple states. So if somebody from Shane Smith and the Saints wants to come check out a show, do you think you could get them on the guest list?
100%.
Yeah. All right.
Real.
Well, they're a great band to be on the road with. I've only got to do a couple shows working with Lowdown. Did those in Idaho at the Saints weekend, and I was just working merch for Lowdown. And also in Helix, Oregon at Wheat Fest, I was working. And they're just such a good organization from top to bottom. Eric Cain, who does the photography, I think is one of the best in music out there. And Corey, who does the merch, is just besides he's an outstanding human, but also just a guy that it's hard to work with him because you will never outwork him. Like, I
Oh, I love
remember
that.
being there Saints weekend, and we had a long drive and everything, and it was going late, and it's normally a time when the headliner's on, you would just like pack up and go, but Corey's still working, so I'm going to work it. When he finally said, all right, we can call it and, move everything. My goal was to beat him to the merch booth the next day, right? And there was no chance. Like, I overslept, and he was already set up and going by the time I got there. So their music's great, and they're great people, and they're one of the people that I think, they say don't meet your heroes. Well, Lane Smith and the Saints are great heroes to meet, and some of the best people in music. And they've been really, really good about preserving their independence, and that they have the freedom, being at the level they still have the freedom to, at the Ryman, say, hey, we want Lowdown Drifters and we want Red Shahan, right? And to take, Midnight River Choir to Red Rocks, and really help other bands that are up and coming and deserve to be on those stages. Shane Smith and the Saints has really made quite an effort to bring people along and, introduce them to their audience and fans, which is, how other people discover new music a lot of the time. So it made me happy to hear that's someone you'd want to meet.
Yeah, that was like, I think seeing the Red Rocks, like just the video, like his lyrics just speak to me. It was really a great band, and just so unique as well. They've got all these different styles that are just blending into the songs. And it's been amazing to listen to. Yeah.
You asked me some questions about Australia. You asked me about Vegemite.
Yeah, I was going to bring some Vegemite across for you.
Do it. Like, if you bring me some Vegemite, I'll be a happy man. There's something I want more than Vegemite, and I think I've messed this up. I would really like some Furphy beer.
Furphy beer?
Yeah, it's from this brewery in Geelong, and it's this great little brewery called Little Creatures in Geelong. And
yeah, okay.
Yeah, they have a bunch of beers, but I love their Furphy beer, and you can't bring it back with you. So I think I was able to bring one or something like that. I forget, but I still have their koozie and I have their stuff, and I really do like Vegemite on toast with a lot of butter.
Yeah, when we had it as kids for school, mum and dad, like when they made our sandwiches when we were young kids, it would just be completely black with butter. It's like not one. It would just be. You get used to it though. Like I think it's an Australian thing where you just it's Vegemite's awesome.
It's an acquired taste at some extent, but if you put it with butter, though, I'm telling you, it's just great.
That's cool. You ever tried Tim Tams?
I don't remember if I did or not.
Yeah, right. No, they're good, man. They're really nice. They're just chocolate covered biscuits, and they're really good.
My mom and I went there together, I think in 2019, and spent a good 10, 11 days in Australia, and loved it. It was wild. We flew into Sydney, had a couple nights in Sydney, and then drove down the coast road through New South Wales, and we spent the night in this place that was like kind of like little cabins in New South Wales, like near the coast but not on it. And I remember going out in the night, and when the sun went down, like things got wild. Like all the noises coming from the woods or the jungle or whatever it is in New South Wales, like that was crazy. And I have video of that. And then there was this little place, and I don't know if I remember the name of it, but we stopped at a beach going down, and there's a little beach off the side of the road, and there was a post leading down to it, and there was a poster about live music that night, right? Yeah. In the middle, like there's nobody around. We're just in the middle of nowhere, and there's this poster, a little worn, but like it was that night, and it was like potluck or like bring your own food or whatever. I forget what it said, and live music. And so I told my mom, like, listen, get checked in, and then I'm gonna go find this thing. And I found it was this just hall in the middle of nowhere, And that was the only thing in the town was they built a music hall.
Sick. Did you go to the gig that night?
Oh yeah. And I made great friends, and it was live music in the hall, and it was full. And there was like fires outside, like campfires and stuff. People gathered around that. And then in the other part of the hall that wasn't music, it was just food that people had brought and were eating. And I wish I'd kept some contacts from there, or I know how to get in touch with someone there and tell them about Wade Forster, but they're that serious about music. They have to have heard of him by now. But when I first told Wade, I was like, Wade, dude, you got to go play at this hall. And now I remember the name of it. It's Murrah Hall. Murrah. Murrah Hall.
And what town was it in between?
It was. No, it was in the middle of nowhere. It was above a town where we had dinner. Let me type it in. Murrah, New South Wales.
I'll have to check this out.
Okay, yeah. So it's below Braga Bay. You see it? Murrah, New South Wales is a whole like area.
Oh, yep, I found it.
And then if you type in Murrah Hall, you see that building?
Cool, yeah.
Yeah. So when I met Wade, and I think this was in 2023 when we were just talking online, like, Wade, dude, you got to go play at this place, Murrah Hall, right? And I sent him a video of it. And he's like, hey, mate, that's a long way away. I don't know. I forgot to bring it up again when y'all went on that tour. Y'all basically toured the whole continent, right?
Yeah, we did 7 shows. So we covered Queensland, New South Wales, and Victoria. But we've got, it was unreal to see so many people come out, and it was really special.
Well, hopefully someday y'all can get over to that place. It's one of those places, like there's something right in the universe of this place, that it is literally the only building in that town. There is no like post office, there's no bank, there's no church. It's just a music hall.
That's cool. And they've got like a back auditorium, like a backdrop at the back.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got to play there. That'd be sick. That's cool, man.
So yeah, I had a great time there. And the thing I discovered that I didn't know about Australia at all is that I went to a show when we were in Geelong, right? I just went out and found where's live music. And it was kind of like almost a songwriter night. And I met some of the people and they were cool. But when they sang Country Roads, the whole building, almost shook with Australians singing Take Me Home, Country Roads, right?
Song,
yeah, so you know it, right?
Yeah. John Denver.
And does that happen at most shows in Australia? Like if somebody sings Country Roads, everybody sings it?
Country Roads is huge. Like even another one would be The Gambler. Those two,
okay.
Like in a country, like you play those two out like at rodeos out west, like remote places in the city, and love it. Like everyone they're like drop their drinks, phones on, they're singing. It's so cool.
Yeah, that kind of blew me away.
How did you meet Wade to initially do the talk with him and communicate?
Well, I had experimented with doing an interview like this, and I'd posted online, and maybe 30 or so people watched it or whatever. And I was really proud of it. And this person, a woman from Washington State, watched it, and she asked if I took requests for guests. Yes, I take requests. She asked me if I heard of Wade Forster. I'm like, no idea. And she said, you got to listen to this song. So she sent me a link to listen to Fighting Tears. And I listened to it, and I was like, whoa, no, like that. I had to listen to it like 5 times just to, like really get the whole song. And then I listened to it like next 2 days. I was just listening to Fighting Tears. And then I'm like, well, I might as well listen to the rest of the album. Like there has to be something else on here. So I listened to the beginning, and I listened to the beginning again. And I got stuck on Cigarettes for a while, and Three's a Talent for a while, and Black Sheep for a while, and Team Roper's Anthem. Like, like it's
good.
just you know, got stuck on one song after another. And I really hadn't researched him because I just wanted to hear the music, right? So I'm like, well, we gotta see this guy. So I look at the album cover up on my a big screen over there, and I'm like, well, what state he's in? And I'm expecting some Western state in the United States, right? And it says Winton, comma QLD. I'm like, are you kidding me? This guy's from Australia. Like, I know what QLD is. Like, there's no way he's from Queensland. So I looked it up, and then I just kind of harassed him on Instagram and asked him if he would get on to talk, and he did. So that's how I met him. And like I liked his music, and people that I shared his music liked it. But I had no idea how big this would become. And he talked about how it was his dream to tour in America, and he asked me what it was like to be on tour. Because I was with Taylor Honeycutt at the time, I think, when I talked to him. I was like, man, well, I'm just doing this 3-show run with Taylor Honeycutt and Muscadine Bloodline. But
whoa, they're sick, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they're amazing.
They're so good.
Yeah, talk about a great band and great people. I'm like, it's kind of a tour. Like, it's 3 shows. Like, we're doing a run together. But he's like, well, man, I'd love to just do that. And I said, all right, I'm going to try to figure out how to get you here. And then, you know, he went off and somehow got introduced to Cody Johnson, or met him over TikTok. And that was crazy. And then it got even crazier because he won Star Maker. And then we hadn't really talked during when he was on Star Maker afterwards. Like, you know, he was busy, and, you know, like, we just didn't talk. He posted when he was at CMA Fest, you know, where should I play in Texas? And so then I, you know, said, hey, you need to play in the Fort Worth Stockyards. That's like historically, like, cowboy wise, like, if you want to do the cowboy thing, come to Fort Worth and play in the Stockyards. And I was like, you know, we need something special for this. And there's a record store called Chief Records. And they're big supporters of music generally, and great members of the community. And they've had Taylor Honeycutt come play. They've had Silverado come play at the store. They've hosted Red Clay Strays doing signings and stuff at the store. Anyway, I just walked in there and said, hey, man, I've got this guy from Australia who's a really good musician. Would you mind if I did a pop-up for him? You know, just, you know, and I need to use your PA too. And he looked at me and said, well, I only got one question. I was like, what's that? He's like, is he good? And I was like, come on, man. Like, when have I ever asked you for a random pop-up? So anyway, he said yes. And then Wade posted on TikTok and Instagram. I posted on Instagram and Facebook, made a little poster. Wade made a little poster. And then we show up, and I was planning to do everything myself. So I start setting up the PA, and I'm having trouble with it, just getting everything out, getting it set up. And it's not really my expertise, you might say. And then people just started walking up. Like, an hour before the show, people start walking up. And, like, you could just tell they weren't from here.
Yeah, you're
Asked
right.
this guy, where is he from? He's like, I drove 3.5 hours to get here. And he said the name of the town. I'm like, okay, that's wild. Next guy walks up. He had driven 6.5 hours. Shout out to Scott Perkins, who I know now. He had driven 6.5 hours from the Texas border, right? I'm like, you drove 6.5 hours to hear a guy play acoustic for 1 hour. And he's like, yeah, of course I did. Right.
Wow. Also, on the tour, sorry to interrupt, but on the tour, a lady drove from Darwin, and and most of the people in Melbourne, like, I spoke to a fair few guys that came to the Evelyn show. They drove 3.5 to 4 hours out of Melbourne just to see that show.
Yeah. When he said 6.5 hours and all that, and the other guy was there and people were showing up, I knew this was going to be bigger than I had anticipated. And I also knew I was in trouble because I had a crowd to manage. I had stuff to do. I had a PA that wasn't set up. So I call my buddy Dylan Welsh from the Lowdown Drifters, and he doesn't answer. It's like, 6 p.m. on a Wednesday. So I just keep calling him, and he answers. Said, hey, buddy, what are you doing? He's like, I was taking a nap. I'm like, how about you come down to the Stockyards? Because I need you to set up a PA because this is going to be interesting. He's like, all right, I'll be right there. And he got there, got it set up. I was talking to Wade about, what was going on over text. And I said, yeah, don't worry about the PA. I've got Dylan from Lowdown. He's coming over to fix it. And he was like, okay, whatever. Well, the time Wade got there was a huge crowd. and Wade just like, pops out. I just do a brief introduction, which didn't mean much of an introduction. And then he starts playing the first song, which I think was Rodeo Romeo, but and the crowd was singing along and like, wow. And then there's like two other songs they were singing along, like Team Emperor's Anthem, like everybody was singing along. And then for Fighting Tears, Wade just had to start it off, and then the crowd took over singing, and it was just wild. And we're lucky to have a couple of videos of it. We knew it was special. And then Logan Ryan had driven in from out of town for it. And he ended up holding the camera for me when I interviewed Wade after that. And the owner of a place that didn't exist yet, Luis, was there. Luis owns Buckin Burger in Brenham, where y'all are playing on New Year's Eve, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
Luis did the other interview of Wade that night. Wow. He just had his camera, just did a portrait interview to post on the thing. He's like, hey, dude, I've got this burger place I'm opening in Brenham, Texas. You need to come back and play here when you come on tour. And at the time, I'm like, yeah, right. That's going to happen. But what's kind of cool is that you guys are coming. So Wade will be there. Dylan will be there with Lowdown Drifters. Logan Ryan will be there with his band. And the guy hosting the thing, it'll be the first show at this venue that he just built. Luis will be there. Yeah, for Buckin Burger. So what a time to be alive, and how special to be part of this. And so I'm glad he's bringing his band and all of you guys, and you get to see this. I think it's going to be something special.
It's going to be really special. And it's just amazing to be a part of something so amazing as well.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to try the food there as well. I love burgers.
You've been playing with Wade since when?
I've been playing with Wade since April this year.
Okay. How did that happen? How did you start playing with Wade?
I played a show in a small town. I was doing 3 shows across a weekend with another artist called Jared Wrigley. We played an event called A Night in Nashville. And what it was this really cool event. There's a heap of country artists in Australia, and they wanted to go over to Nashville, but they couldn't in COVID. So one of the families got together in Orange, and they made a special performance called A Night in Nashville, and the concert's kind of just taken off now. So we played that this year, and I got home a couple days later, and I jumped on Facebook, and the manager of Jared's band, I was tagged in a post, and it was just saying that they needed a drummer for a gig in Brisbane, and it was Brisbane musicians only. And I saw the post, and as I scrolled down, I saw all these amazing drummers that I look up to in this country industry in Australia. And I was just like, whew, these people are just amazing drummers. And I was just like, I'm going to try. I'm just going to message, and I'm going to say who I play for. And I messaged this lady, which was Cheryl, which is Wade's manager.
Yeah, I've talked to Cheryl.
Yeah, Cheryl's amazing. And Cheryl's just like, who do you play for? And I'm like, I play with Jared. And then I was just like, and she wrote back, she's like, oh my God, I was at the show on Friday. I saw you play drums. And she goes, Wade would love to have you in his band for the gigs with Wade. And at the time I knew Rodeo Romeo, which was such a cool song. Straight away after that message, I quickly went back and started listening to the whole discography of Wade. And then a couple of days later, I didn't hear anything for a couple of days. And I remember I was sitting, because at the time I was studying at the Queensland Conservatorium of Music. And I was just sitting there on my phone, and this message pops up, and it goes, the gigs with Wade Forster and the gigs in Mount Isa. It's for the 100th anniversary. To be doing a rehearsal in 3 weeks. This is the set list. And at the time I was just like, wow, this is crazy. Because I'd been listening to these tunes, and I was just like, this is amazing. And then we got to the rehearsal, and the rehearsal was really special. I think the rehearsal, it was only like an hour. I think it was I don't know how long. I think it was 2 sets of 60 minutes. And we sat in the room for around 8 to 7 hours, because we just sat there talking, all of us. The band just immediately gelled with each other, and we were just sitting in a room, and we were just laughing. And I remember getting home, and then we went to Mount Isa 2 weeks later, and we did the gig, and straight away Wade said after that, I'd love for you guys to keep playing with me. And then we started booking more shows, and at the time Cheryl asked me to play another festival with Wade, and then Wade just said that he didn't want anyone like a house band. He wanted to build his own special band, and he loved playing with us, and he asked us to play with him full time. And
well, that's awesome. Was it a hard decision?
No. At that point, it was just like it was incredible. I've seen so many amazing places in Australia this year, and I've met so many amazing people, and that's all thanks to Wade. Wade Forster's changed my life in amazing ways, and it's just amazing to be the guy who sits in the back of this band and just gets to watch it all happen from the back seat and just watch Wade go off every night. You know, his energy on stage it's just incredible. Like the first shows that we did, even the second show, like we played a place in Charleville, and his energy on stage was just like, wow, this is cool. And it's just getting like where we are now as a band, it's just we're just having so much fun, and the energy on stage is really cool. So we're really excited to take this show and be coming to America to share the love of music and play with awesome bands like the Lowdown Drifters and the Logan Ryan Band.
Yeah. And besides just, I'm excited to see Wade again. Right. And, I would, want to see him in any format, or even if he was not playing, because he's such a good guy. But I'm excited because we got a really special like acoustic pop-up where it was just so much emotion, right? Like you could feel it, like the crowd, Wade, like the interaction there and the songs was great. But I'm watching just over here from the United States, watching this tour through Australia, right? And I'm seeing him bang, the cymbal and everything. And I'm like, all right, I need to see Wade go the fuck off, right? Like, I just want to see him go nuts because I know it's there, right? I mean, like the guy, the guy's kind of a rock star, but I got to see like the intimate acoustic, try not to cry too much set. And I have a feeling, tell me like I'm wrong, like, is it, like, how is the show emotion wise? Like, is it all high energy? Does it go up and down?
We've worked as a band, and like Ben, we've all constructed the show to have like big, really like build special moments within the show. So at the start, we really want to come out with great songs, but we want, the biggest thing I think we want is fans to take away memories and special parts of the show. So it goes up and down with energy, and we just want to create special moments within the show. And so it has energy in different parts of the show, and and different, different things that happen within the show as well that create special moments. I hope I said that right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
In terms of coming to the United States, is there anything in Texas or anywhere over here that you really want to like see, eat, experience that you've, just always thought, if I go to the United States, I want to do this or try this?
I've always wanted to, I probably won't have time this tour, but I've always wanted to go to Yellowstone in Wyoming and also see the Red Rocks Auditorium, eat burgers, and also go to Oklahoma. So like going to Oklahoma, like I think like just getting off the bus and just walking around the town, or like when we get off, just seeing, what the city is and just the culture and stuff like that, and just immersing it. Like I just want to immerse myself in it, and the food, and it's just all exciting. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you really like burgers. But we're going to get you some good burgers. There's some great places in Fort Worth. Obviously you're going to have maybe one great burger, maybe two, probably as many as you want to eat at Buckin Burger, but we're going to get you some of the best. My two favorites here, a place called Gusto's, GUSTO''S, and they have live music multiple nights a week, and they're just great people, great supporters of music, and they have a really good smash burger. And then in the Stockyards, where Wade Forster played the first time, there's a place called Hooker's Grill, and there's a whole clan of hookers, and that is their last name. And they make Oklahoma City style burgers, which is smash burgers with onions in them. And they
Nice.
also make Indian fry bread and have great place. And speaking of Yellowstone, part of their property was turned into a set for, I believe, 1886 for that. So the facade on the front of their building and where you can actually eat the burgers was part of that series. So that's pretty cool. So we're gonna get you some good burgers. Besides burgers, what else in terms of American food do you want to try?
I'm pretty keen to do the bacon and just keen to try a heap of. I'm not really sure. Hey, what other stuff is really good in America, like for food wise? What do you
Okay.
recommend?
Oh, so basically, you just want us to show you what we like, huh?
Yeah, I'm keen.
We can
on
do that. And
keen.
one of our best friends here, both mine and the people in the band, Lowdown Drifters, is a chef. His name is Patrick Sullivan. We call him Sully. And his goal, which I think is a very, very good goal, is that he cooks at one of the best places in Fort Worth, right? But his goal is that for one of the bands he cooks for, which he'll cook for anybody, he'll cook for Wade, he cooks for Lowdown, cooks for Taylor Honeycutt, uh cooks, he will cook for anybody that comes to town, right, on tour. And he just tells all of them, hey, when you're ready to have a chef on tour, get me on a bus. And so maybe Wade's the one. Maybe, next time Wade comes, there'll be a need for a private chef and I have just the guy. And whatever nights you guys are in Fort Worth, I know he'll do something special. So
That's awesome.
shout out to Chef Patrick Sullivan.